Hey guys, welcome back to Tips and Tricks. This is Viren here, and this is our video number 2 for networking fundamentals. And like it's mentioned here, that if you have a passion for networking, or if you're an aspiring CCNA, or if you're already on a CCNA path, well, you've just landed into the right place. Like I always say, just make sure that you make out most of these videos, go through these videos over and over, and I'm sure the concepts will be clear. Alright, let's start.
So these are the topics that we will cover in this video. What is a network? What are the different types of networks? Alright, so once again, what is a network? Well, a network is a group of two or more computers and or devices like printers, faxes, and all sorts of devices. So this is what really a network is. Now, according to the size of the network and the networking technology, so basically when I'm talking about the networking technology here, I'm talking about the communication that is used in the network. Based on these two things, size and the communication technology, we can define, or we can name these networks. So we have these basic networks. A LAN or a WLAN is one and the same thing. The LAN is a local area network. So the moment we think of LAN, we think of it as the connectivity between the cables, between the computers and the devices with cables. And the WLAN is a LAN which is interconnected wirelessly through Wi-Fi or Bluetooth or any other wireless technology. Alright, so then we have CAN, Campus Area Network, we have a MAN, and we have a WAN. So let's see what these are. So LAN is basically a network of computers and or devices spanning over a short distance. When I simply say short distance, you will know more about the what distances are we talking about. We simply cannot say short distance. You will see, you will learn all these in a little more details in the later on videos. But for now, the moment you think LAN, just think of your office. So let's say the connectivity that is there in between all the computers and the devices within your office, that is a local area network. And the protocol or the communication that happens between these computers happens through something called as Ethernet. So that is the communication, that is the language your network is speaking within the office. Of course, when you go outside the LAN, that is when you are trying to fetch google.com or Facebook, then you are using a different protocol, which will be a WAN protocol, wide area network. But for now, just understand a LAN uses a LAN technology, which is Ethernet in this case. There are other LAN technologies like token ring and MDDI. We'll know what these are in the later videos. Another thing that to remember is a LAN is owned and managed by a person or an organization. So the network that you have in your office, a single person or your organization owns that network. So just remember this. And why are we emphasizing on this point? You will see that later on. Alright, what is a CAN? A CAN is a campus area network. Again, when you think of CAN, just think of your college or university, which is spanning over, let's say, 10 to 15 buildings. So this is more like a LAN, but it is covering a bigger distance. So in this case, we can still use the LAN protocol, with a LAN communication technology between the computers and the net, or within this network, or we can use a WAN technology. So there is a gray area here, and you'll know what I'm trying to say, in the next few slides. But just understand that when you are in a LAN or a CAN, you can run the cables from one building to the other, or you can run the cables, let's say, to 5 buildings to get the connectivity between all the computers. But sometimes the distance between 2 buildings may be so much that you would want an internet service provider to do that work for you, to get that connectivity. Alright, so I'll let you know, I'll make you understand how it happens from the next slide. So let's say this is this is the kind of network you have in one office or one building of a university. So within that building, let's say you have lots of, let's say 50 to 100 computers. All of them are connected through a hub or a switch. Don't get confused by this Wi-Fi router. This Wi-Fi router is basically connected to the switch, and then this gives a wireless connectivity to all the devices like laptops and tablets. I have seen this in my office. For example, this will be connected to the hub or switch, and these Wi-Fi routers basically normally are attached to the ceilings. So as and when you move around in your university or office, you get the Wi-Fi connectivity via these Wi-Fi routers. Just like you get the Wi-Fi connectivity in malls or in airports, they have these Wi-Fi routers there which are connected to the hubs or switches there, and you get the connectivity through these. Alright, so back to the topic. So let's say you have an office network or a building network in your campus like this, and you have another building which has the same kind of network like this. Suppose you want to connect the network between these two buildings. Now either you can do Ethernet technology, like a LAN technology, and you can connect those two networks, or you can use an internet service provider. Let's say in India you have Airtel, Tata or Reliance. You can use their services, or in Europe you have T-Systems, in US you have AT&T. You can use their services, and in that case, if you want to connect the two buildings, then you will have to use routers, because the moment you use a service provider, you are going outside your network and you have to use something called as router, because within your network you have private IP addresses, and the private IP addresses cannot do any kind of routing, or they are not intelligent enough to understand, to find the addresses on the other side. So you have routers which are intelligent machines or hardware which can route the information from one place to the other. So once you have the service provider, that service provider will connect these two ends of the buildings, and there will be a router at the end of each building, and that's how you can obtain the connectivity. Alright, I hope this was clear. Okay, so we get to the fourth type of network, which is a MAN, which is a Metropolitan Area Network. Now we already saw what is a LAN and what is a CAN. Now MAN is nothing but which spans more distance than a CAN, that is more than a campus area network, but it is still very much within the same city, and that is why it is called MAN, Metropolitan Area Network. So I'm sure you can understand that in MAN, the distances between two buildings or two LANs can definitely be something like 30 kilometers, 40 kilometers, or maybe more. So mostly in this situation, if you want to connect two buildings, two LANs, you have a LAN, local area network at each building, then mostly you will definitely use an ISP or an internet service provider to connect those two LANs. Or you can still have a LAN connectivity, which it depends on how you want to use it. So that is what a MAN is, which basically MAN is a network which spreads over the metropolitan area and can use LAN technology like Ethernet token ring, or it can use a WAN technology like frame relay or anything like that. So and we'll talk about the WAN technologies later on. And I've just shown here, if you want to connect two buildings which are quite far away, you can use an internet service provider to connect these two buildings, and then the local area network here can talk to the local area network there. Alright, okay, so I just wanted to give you an understanding of the MAN once again. So let's say you have three offices in one city, Site A, Site B and Site C. Now these blue dots basically represent the service provider. So let's say this Site A is at a particular point and Site B is 50 kilometers from Site A. Between this distance, let's say the service provider has presence in 2-3 places. So that's how they will get your connectivity from A to B. Similarly, you can get a connectivity from B to site C. So the ISP will call their presence or their network within the city as their metropolitan area network. But for you as a company, the total or the entire network between A, B and C, you are not concerned about the service provider now. For you, the site A, B, C, this connectivity is your MAN. I hope this is clear. So basically, MAN is nothing but a network within the city. So the service provider is helping you to get this connectivity because you are using a service provider because of the huge distance. They can call their network as the metropolitan area network when they are talking, in their terms, they are talking about their business. But when it comes to you, when it comes to your office, so let's say whatever city is this, let's say this is city X. So for that company, they can talk about X, the MAN for the city X, the metropolitan area network for city X. Alright, and again, what will be the protocol that they will use here? What will be the communication from site A to B? It will be a WAN technology, not a LAN. The LAN is used within this, so they will use Ethernet within the computers here. But they, when they want to speak to the other side, they will use a WAN technology, which is a like I mentioned, frame relay or something like that. Okay. Now let's talk about WAN. So WAN is bigger than the MAN. So WAN is wide area network. Basically, WAN is nothing but it is bigger than us. The network spans more than a city, city to city or country to country. So basically, that's why it says here that think of it as connecting several or millions of LANs or MANs. So let's say if there is a network that connects 4 or 5 cities, that is a WAN. So again, let's say you are in city 1 and you have a service provider here. You are and you also have an office in city 4, another of city 2 and city 3. The service providers that are giving this connectivity may not belong to one organization. So let's say in city 1 you have AT&T, but you are connecting the city to some other city, and let's say the service provider here is T-Systems, but they may have a deal to get this, to have a connectivity between them, and then it's up to them how do they do business, but they can together give you this connectivity from city 1 to city 4. And that is why this WAN, first of all, WAN cannot be owned by a single entity, because we are talking about just 2 cities here. So let's imagine this city 1 is in one country and you're connecting another city in another country. Definitely the service provider that you have in your country will be different from the service provider in the other country. So WAN is not owned by a single person. It's just a combination or an association of a lot of service providers. Alright, I hope that makes sense, and if it doesn't, just send me your comments, I'll try to explain you once again. So, and that is why I mentioned that in the in the earlier slide. If I go back, let's just go back, that a LAN is owned by a single person or an organization. So let's say the connectivity that exists within your organization, that is managed by a particular provider, and they maintain it, so it's owned by your organization. Whereas in the case of a WAN, these providers may be different. So which is the biggest WAN? The simplest example of a biggest WAN is the internet, because you connect to every other device on the globe. But a lot of people do not understand or get mistaken by this, that a WAN can also span cities. So the internet is the biggest WAN, but let's say when I'm connecting my offices within the country between cities, that is my WAN. So the network that I have between my offices within the same country, between 3-4 cities, that is a WAN for me. So let's say I have 4 offices here in India, and let's say I have 4 offices in USA. So I will refer this connectivity between these 2 cities as my India WAN. And the connectivity that I have within all the LANs in US will be another WAN. But again, the connectivity between India and US, that is also a WAN. So I hope this was clear. Once again, as I said, go through these videos once again, put in some efforts from your side as well. Do some web search, go to Google and try to search from your side as well and try to understand. And as I said, I'm always, your comments are always welcome, and if you have any difficulties, please leave your comments and I'll try to help you. So thank you. With this, we come to this end of the second video, and I'll meet you in the video 3. Thank you guys.